All right. And we are live. Thanks for those who are joining in. We are on our Friday Funtime local bike business chat. And looks like we are rolling. Looks like we do have our first guest just came on. We're just getting rolling. I wanted to welcome everyone to our Friday Funtime, our Tuesday transportation days, and Friday Fun Times have been a really great time to interact in a new way with folks. We've been talking about safe routes to school and recreational rides in Eugene and bike share and lots of really fun topics. And I'm really excited about tonight's show where we're going to be talking about local bike businesses. And so I have some big news about a local bike business that we'll definitely be talking about. And then we have some special guests joining us who have a great history in Eugene around cycling. And so I'm excited to bring them on and just start a conversation. And so this is a great time for you to ask questions in the comment section. We're streaming on Facebook and on YouTube. So if you have any questions, put them in. Otherwise, we'll just have a great conversation amongst ourselves and invite you to join in anytime you want. So now I'm happy to bring on our first guest. Looks like he's ready. Dwan, I'm going to bring you in here from the green room.
Howdy, howdy.
Hey there.
Good to be here.
Howdy, howdy. Thanks for joining us. Let me pull this off here and bring us up a little bit bigger. There we go. So super. We've also got Lynn lined up there in the green room that we'll have him pop on here in a little bit. Once he's ready, he'll give me the thumbs up and we'll bring him in. Okay. So how are you doing?
I'm doing all right. Shane, how are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. It's been a crazy week. I'm glad it's the weekend. Yeah.
Well, and it's we get an extra day too, so that always helps.
You planning to do anything exciting with it? You heading out on some rides?
Well, normally I would. I've been not on my bike very much the past few weeks because I've got some inner ear issue that makes my balance funky. So I've got to take it easy on the bike for a little while, which is a little odd for me. But I'm gonna spend some time in the garden, work on my yard, which has not had a lot of attention from me for the past few years.
Nice. Yeah, I think a lot of folks have gotten more time for that in this past couple of months. I know I have.
Yeah, definitely. If you've been to the home improvement stores, you've seen a lot of people there.
Yep. Yeah, it's been interesting. I'm going to bring Lynn on here to join in the conversation as well.
Hi,
Lynn.
Shane.
Hey there. Nice setup you got there.
Thanks.
Thanks for joining us.
Hey, Lynn.
Hi, Dwan.
So
good to see you.
I appreciate you both joining me, and we're we've been doing these Transportation Tuesday talks and a Friday Fun Time where we just sort of wind down and talk about whatever topic inspires us. We did a wonk talk that was really sort of in the weeds around transportation planning last week. And, as a city, we did a highlight recently around local bike shops and sort of the response to COVID and sort of how it's been going for folks. And so I think you were both in on part of that. We did a feature on bike shops and then bike businesses that we're rolling out now. And so this was just something that I wanted to do as well, just as a way to check in with some local businesses and offer an opportunity for people to talk a little bit if they wanted to and ask questions and kind of check in. So it's pretty casual conversation. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, just wanted to say I appreciate the opportunity. I think it's a good idea, Shane.
Yeah, it's funny. We're, having to do community engagement in a whole new way now. So we have a lot of programs
Yes,
at the city that we're doing a lot more virtually. So we're working to figure it all out. So, but how about you, Len? I was asking Dwan about his weekend. Do you have big plans for the special 3-day?
Working.
Yeah.
And, then me and my daughter have been getting out on some gravel bikes to go out of the off the roads and out into the country. So that's been really fun. So we got another daughter that'll join us. So we'll probably use the Commotion tandem I have that to get out, because she didn't bring her bike with her. So we'll go out on the road, but
Nice.
it's going to be fun.
Cool.
Good job. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, and I hear.
What about you, Shane?
Well, I heard 242's open. I'm sort of debating that with
Right.
the whole, stay near home piece. I'd love to get out and ride that. So it's sort of like how much, how close to home is that? So it's, but, and I've also got my 3 kiddos this weekend that, they could do the sisters side, but this side's, I think, a little much for them. The sister side is a little longer and, less steep. So, but
a little gentler, yeah.
Yeah.
Unless you've already done this side and then go over and back.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, but definitely some local rides. We've been getting out, sort of just enjoying the rides around town. So that's been
very
nice.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah, the 242. A lot of times, the very first weekend it's open, it's a little chilly.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of nice to wait until it warms up a little bit. If you can hit it on a day when it's going to be, maybe 80-ish in the valley, then you got a chance of not freezing to death when you turn around and go back down the hill.
Yeah. What's the date that they usually open that? It's sometime in July, like the beginning of July, or
for traffic?
Depends. Yeah, for traffic.
It varies. It depends on conditions, but mid to late June, I think. Does that sound right to you, Len?
Yeah, there's something going on a little different. Steve Lamper Eugene Vella was telling me yesterday that there is some difference than normal years. So I didn't quite understand what he was saying, but there definitely is some new policies going in.
Oh, interesting.
Okay.
Yeah. So I guess, one question to just start us off with a little bit too is, and I think this was probably answered in one of the pieces we wrote, but how is business going for you? I know that today it was today or yesterday, the New York Times article came out about, all the great bike sales that are going on, and that, there's, potentially a shortage of bikes around the country because of some people buying bikes now in this time of COVID, that they're wanting to get out with their kids and get out of the house sort of feelings. But, I'm sure a lot of those are department store bikes. And, but I know that some bike shops have been extremely busy, and other bike shops were sort of slow and then ramping up now. And kind of curious how it's affected both of your local businesses.
Yeah, for us at Commotion, it's interesting. We saw a big slowdown at kind of at the beginning of this. So the January through March, which is normally the season where we're delivering to our bike dealers, and we've got dealers that we ship bikes to around the country, as well as Europe, Southeast Asia, etc. But a lot of them were experiencing a poor beginning of the year and did not want to accept the bikes that we had built for them in the off season. And these are bikes they had contracted to receive from us. So painful for us. And then some of them accepted the bikes but weren't able to pay for them. and that hurt us in a big way too.
Right.
So when coronavirus kind of started to make its mark on the U.S., we kind of got a double whammy. And so, when the governor's orders came to, to do more, stay home, save lives, we furloughed about half of our workforce and just kept at it. We kept the shop open, kept building bikes, and focused on delivering bikes for people who are ready, willing, and able to receive them. And that actually went really well. And after, a few weeks of that, we started to see things pick up, and business has actually been pretty solid. We're back up to full workforce now.
Oh, really?
And the bike shops are, by and large, they're happy to receive the bikes that we're building for their specific clients, but they still don't really want the stock, bikes that they ordered from us last fall.
Yeah.
So, it's a mixed bag. We got some positive, some negative, but we're healthy. We're doing well, and our lead times are good, and we're ready to build bikes for anybody who's ready to get a bike. Now, we're not in that sweet spot of the $400 to $800 bike that all the bike shops are selling. Our prices start about $2,500.
Yeah, you want to give the quick little elevator speech of like what is Commotion's focus on type of bikes that you do?
Well, all the bikes that the big bike brands don't want to touch, that's what we make.
Yeah.
So tandem bicycles, bicycles for, touring, something you could take across the Himalayas or the Great Divide. You want to ride from Alaska to Tierra del Fuego, we've got exactly the right bike for you. If you just need a grocery getter, we can make that, but it's, it might be.
It's going to be a very nice grocery getter.
Yeah.
I've seen some pretty nice Commotion grocery getters in town, but
yeah. I mean, I use mine for whatever, but we don't expect people to just come in off the street and order a bike. Generally, our customer is somebody that's owned a lot of bikes, a lot of possibly very good bikes, but as you get into it and get opinionated and cantankerous like myself or Len, more what you want. You know exactly what you want, and there's only so many people in the world that can make that for you, and hopefully we're one of those companies.
Yeah. Well, how about you, Len? What's it been like for you these past couple months?
Yeah, it's been kind of my normal progression. I started here about 2.5 years ago, and it's been just every year. I mean, every month it gets a little bit better, and so I'm seeing my natural growth. I haven't seen any bumps in anything. My Commotion sales, everybody stayed on and committed to them and got them, and I brought on some new lines, so naturally I'm doing some even more business because I didn't have as many lines of bikes as I had last year. So I'm not booming like if you were a bike gallery up in Portland, you're probably just seeing a lot of people coming to you because you're the advertising shop in the town. And people that don't know bike shops will recognize the advertising, so they'll go there first. Just like people go to Walmart, then they go to Target, then they go to Paul's Bike Shops or Hutch's, and then when they can't see what they got there, they come to to me. So I'm kind of last on the pecking order because I don't do advertising. I'm not that established. I'm a little hidden in Springfield. But it's been super positive, and my turnaround times have been a lot better because I work a lot of hours and I work by myself. So I can handle, I don't have any distractions doing repairs, so I can get bikes in and out a lot quicker than the other shops can. So,
yeah. And what's the focus of your shop?
Len is being modest because Len's being modest because he's built his reputation as a go-to guy in this area for so many years. He doesn't have to advertise. He's built his name. So if you're looking for Len, you're going to find Len's Bikes, and there he is, the guy that you probably bought a bike from 25 years ago.
Yeah.
I think that that's a lot of hard work that's paid off.
Yeah, it's super fun. I kind of work the same hours I did when I was at Hutch's, but it's just a lot more manageable, and it's been real fun. And having Commotion support me was like key because I didn't have anything but them when I started here, so that's really important.
How many lines do you have now? And are there any other local, or are they other?
No, I do Salsa Bikes, which the rep is local. He used to work for Commotion, Chuck Hood. He's been real supportive. And doing adventure bikes, kind of like Commotion does. They're the mass-produced version of Commotion. They do the weird bikes and the big fat tires, and you can do anything on. So it's been real positive. And then I do Electras, which are kind of your around the bike path and good electric bikes. And then I just brought on Orbea, and the rep from them is also tied into Eugene. He was Burley's rep when they still had reps. He still reps for Wheels. So he also does these Spanish bikes, and that's been a good addition. And the lines I have don't step on any toes. There's a Salsa's $1,000. My Commotions are $3,000 or $4,000 and up. So they complement each other. So if people, like Dwan said, generally people that buy Commotion have had 3 or 4 or 5 really nice bikes, and they want the bike that they want, or a bike that can do what other bikes can't do, and that's where they really shine.
Yeah, they've sort of dialed in what their needs are once they get up to that level to figure out.
Dwan built me a 3-person take the kids to school bike for a gentleman in Idaho, and they use it to commute to school. He takes his 2 daughters, drops them off, and then he rides back home.
Nice.
And then it all breaks apart and goes into a suitcase because they're planning on, when this clears up, they had a big trip planned. But once the people are flying around again, they're going to break that thing into suitcases and take it with them. So
nice.
That's something that's
not your everyday customer. But we're actually working on a 5-seater like that right now.
Within a couple months. So a nice road bike that also breaks apart. And, those guys do some excellent bikes.
Yeah. What'd you say you're working on now, Dwan?
Oh, I was saying that the 3-seater Len was talking about is not your everyday customer. But like I said, we do the bikes that the big bike companies don't touch. And we've actually got one on order right now. It's a 5-person bike that does just what I'm talking about. Yeah, and it can be it's also can be converted. You can turn it from 5, what we call a quint, to a quad for 4, or a triplet for 3, to a regular tandem for 2.
Wow.
It does not turn into a single-person bicycle, but it does everything else, and it'll fit into airline checkable suitcases.
That's amazing. I'd love to see that picture. I'd love to see that. That's great. Well, I wanted to bring up a little slide here of some local bike businesses and kind of get into a little bit of chat with you, and remind folks that if they have any questions for Dwan or Lynn or myself, and just sort of questions about local bike businesses, please throw them in the comments. We've got Debbie joining us from West Eugene. We've got people watching us on both Facebook and YouTube. And
all right.
I wanted to, let me bring this up here. So I know that we have an interesting history and a pretty strong little bike culture in Eugene, with some of these companies having sort of a long history and some shorter, and I might have even missed one. So that's what I'll ask you first is so this doesn't cover the bike shops or the bike-based businesses that I'm going to talk about later, like the couriers and people who use bikes in their business, but more of manufacturing. And when I sort of started in the bike world in Eugene, it was back in the 90s, working at CAT as a courier with Peddlers Express, and doing runs out to Burley to deliver mail. And it's been really interesting to see sort of the world of Eugene bike business change over the years, and what's remained and what's come and what's gone. So I guess sort of any thoughts on the local bike business scene in general in Eugene, and sort of you both have so many great years of experience in the bike industry. One, am I missing anything here? And two, what are some of your thoughts on, like, when you see this and think about Eugene's bike manufacturing business?
Well, it's pretty diverse. There have been some changes. Burley is a different company than it was. When you came to town, I suppose, but they still, I think, have really strong design, protocols and good work ethic and position in the community. They do some wonderful things. I see you have human powered machines up there, absolutely stunning history of education, as well as some innovative ideas and designs. The Setma Cargo, also really cool stuff. Rolf Prima, we do a lot of business with them. It's a fantastic company, really solid product. And they've really, I don't know if you're familiar with their Astral rim line, but they've branched out from just doing the kind of lightweight racing wheels to doing more universal purpose rims. And they're American made, it's a Eugene product. So that's very, very cool.
Yeah, that's very rare.
We're using a lot of their, so we're using their rims on we used to, just use their wheels on high end bikes, but now we use their rims on virtually everything, as well as still using their, racing stuff at the high end. So cool stuff. There's some other builders around. Rob English
Cycles. That's the one that we did a feature on them, and that's one I forgot to put in. And then Jessica.
I mentioned, obviously, Bike Friday. They're super solid in the community, super innovative, really neat stuff. And you see their bikes in use all over town and all over the world. So I think that's a great group of businesses, and Eugene is, if anything, overrepresented for its size. We do a lot of neat stuff here.
Yeah, and I think it's it's really interesting too to me, sort of the history aspect. We're going to have next Friday is our Flashback Friday and talk a little bit about the history. And there's definitely some overlap there with the history and the businesses, just with Alan, with Bike Friday and sort of his roots in Burley and how that all got started with, taking their goods, from Cottage Grove to Saturday Market, like that was, their original, design was what eventually morphed into the Burley products. And then for me, being involved with Safe Routes to School and family biking being a big piece, seeing that, Bike Friday get into their family bikes and holidays and sort of have Alan go back to those roots of family biking with trailers and Bike Friday. And Burley has been really supportive of the Safe Routes to School program. And I just feel like we're just blessed with, as a medium-sized town with some really great bike businesses.
Yeah, but these companies are like kind of iconic, best in their category. I mean, I don't carry any wheels besides Rolf wheels. I have no need for any custom built bikes and Commotion, and Burley just sets the standard in any sort of kind of trailer you'd want, whether it's cargo or kid. They just, and Bike Friday is, the best at the small suitcase type of bicycles. I mean, but a lot of times people with Bike Fridays, they don't even know that they fold. They just like the low standover. Yeah. It's just an easy bike to get on and off of. It really helps like older people get out and enjoy bikes. And it's just these are iconic, wonderful companies.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point that, these are like the best in their industry. Yeah. And they're the bike businesses that we have. I think that's a really good point. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think a big reason for that is the type of community we live in. People are attracted to this community because it really is a cycling mecca, and that brought some some great talent here, or just really motivated people who figured out a way to make a living in this business.
Right. Yeah. All right. So I fixed my error there. I got English Cycles on the map. And then Jessica had a question. I know that I think weren't they in Eugene and Stumper moved? Do you know that?
So I think Todd had been building those, and I believe he has relocated.
Yeah, I thought he went back east or somewhere.
He's still here.
Oh, is he? Okay.
He got out of the business, and the people that took it over moved production to Minnesota.
Oh, that was it. Okay.
And then I think Todd had his roots at Burley building bicycles.
That would be an interesting thing to sort of trace where sort of the web has gone, because I know so many people that started at Burley or started at CAT and Human Powered Machines, and sort of like where everyone has landed. It's been a really interesting thing to see over the years, because I think that I started at CAT and just sort of had my eyes open to what bikes as transportation were, and it definitely changed my life. And I feel like other people have gone through there or gone through manufacturing local products, and then sort of gone into other, I think Setma, I think he probably was involved in some other manufacturing company locally and then started doing that. And Lane's, been really amazing to watch as he's gone from making racks to making cargo bikes, and still doing some of that, but I think he's also working for Arkimoto, doing some work for them. So that's been interesting. Right.
Yeah, and I mean, probably for your next show, but go back even further, and there were other bike businesses. Bruce Gordon was here in Eugene. Gary Hale Bicycle. You know, there was, you know, some other smaller companies, Jackson Gibbons clothing and Spin Skins, and there's
Jackson
any
Gibbons
number
was
of
from Eugene. I didn't know that.
yeah.
Yeah, I think I heard the
Blue Sky trailers.
Yeah, Blue Sky
bicycle trailers. Equinox was in Cottage Grove. Bicycle trailers.
Bicycle Revolution with which was Ian Schultz's trailer.
Schultz Brothers. Yeah.
So definitely an amazing history. The Bruce Gordon one I had forgot about. You know, do you know Josh Goldfarb from? He runs the Dave Miner Theater. He's a big bike nut, and he has some really interesting.
Got quite a collection.
He's got quite a collection, yeah. And he's actually, I don't know if you know, but speaking of bike-based businesses, that he's moving the David Miner Theater to a new location right near Willamette and 13th there, and he's, you know, unfortunate timing. You know, we'll see, because he was planning to open.
Oh yeah, what a tough time to be in the middle of the big move. Yeah,
but I know that he was planning to have sort of a bike gallery sort of piece in there of really highlighting some of the local bike history. So I hope that can come to fruition, and that's going to be an amazing spot because it's going to be on the 13th protected bikeway that we're building right now. It's going to be just off of it, you know, from Willamette and 13th.
It's on Willamette, isn't it?
Yeah, it's on Willamette, just off of 13th. Yeah, it's in that old appliance store that was there.
Okay. Yep. Yeah, that'll be a great spot for him. Yeah, hopefully he can weather this COVID-19 storm that we're all dealing with.
Yeah.
For theaters, it's probably couldn't be tougher.
Yeah. Luckily, he's got sort of the. I mean, it's not restaurant business isn't a great doing grand things either. But I think that he does have that food aspect and the beer and the sort of ability to space out a little bit because it's a bigger area. So we'll see. Hopefully, he can make that happen. So the next piece I wanted to highlight was also the other great bike businesses we have. And it looks like, Lynn, I have you listed here, but I don't think I found a logo for you. So you have to send. Do you even have a logo?
Yeah.
Yeah? I don't think I found one. So you'll have to send me that one. Let's see.
Yeah, there's a lot of great shops in there.
Yeah, another area
I'll name a couple of shops that I worked at before Commotion that I worked at. I think I worked one day at Dotson's. You remember them? Len remembers them.
It wasn't Dotson's. It was the camera place.
No, Dotson's was a camera place, yeah.
National Cycle.
Sorry. National Cycle. Dotson's National Cycle Service.
That's where I got started.
Okay.
Where was that?
Awesome.
My first bicycle job was at National Cycles.
And where was that, Lynn?
13th and Charlton.
13th
and Charlton. Okay. What's that, Lynn?
They had that whole building, that medical supply place. It's something different now, but that whole thing was just stuffed full of bikes. Every inch was a bicycle.
That's interesting.
Bikes on the floor at all times.
That's interesting because that's also the spot that it was for a little while, and I don't know if it's still that way, but across the street there was that sort of used bike shop for a while that just had like strewn out there. When did that shop close? Because I don't know. That must have been before the.
In about 1980.
Okay.
Mid 80s, maybe. I don't know. Yeah.
Hutches in 81, and I went from that place to Hutches.
Okay.
In 81.
What other shops have closed? Because I know that there was it Barn out on Coburg at one point?
I think the next one that I worked at was Pedal Power. back when Mark Jackson owned it.
And where was that one?
And it was in a little shack in the parking lot of the Fifth Street Market, about where the hotel is now.
Huh.
And then they moved into the parking lot of Fifth Street into a bigger building.
Yeah, that used to be a Tandy Leather building.
Yeah.
And then I worked at Stu's Bike Shop, which
that one sounds familiar.
Which is kind of near. It's across the street from Sweet Life.
In
kind of a flat iron building.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a bike shop, huh?
That was a bike shop in the 80s. Yeah. Stu Greenbaum. Yeah, that was a.
That reminded me of
that
another.
was an interesting little place.
Oh, the one on 7th.
Eugene, Dwan.
What's that?
What year did you come to Eugene?
1981.
Huh. Really? Huh.
Yeah.
How about you, Lynn?
Okay.
Yeah. Came to school in 76, but started working shops in 81.
Oh, interesting. That's about the time I left. I was born here in 72, left in 82, and then came back in 90 for college.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So little stint away in Alaska.
Yeah, the town's changed a lot. It's changed a lot since then, for sure.
Yeah.
You worked a lot of shots in a short amount of time.
And Dwan, what year did
you work in Second Nature too?
Oh, Second Nature.
Yes, I did. Second Nature. Yeah, next to the Bijou Theater.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
That one was open for a while. That didn't close until like the late 90s, right? Or I feel like that one was around for a while.
Yeah, so I think I left there when we started Commotion. So I was there until 88.
Huh.
And it was still owned by Milo Overbay. He sold it at maybe 89 or 90. But it did continue for another 8 or 10 years, I think.
Yeah. What was the guy that bought it? He's a nice guy. I can't remember his name.
Gosh. Kurt Jensen.
Yeah, Kurt Jensen, yeah.
And he had a partner.
Oh.
Yeah, he had a partner.
On Facebook the other day. He looks good.
Yeah. What's Kurt doing now? Is he doing anything bike related?
No. He's probably retired.
He's retired.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Smart person, get out of the bike business, right?
Still rides a bike.
Yeah.
Yeah, you want to quit while you're still upright, I think. That's the goal.
What I love about this list of bike shops is the diversity of it too, and just, everyone sort of found their niche, and everything from the DIY Eugene Bicycle Works cat space to higher end bikes, and those focusing more on maintenance, and now with the Eugene Electric Bicycles coming in and focusing on that, and some being more urban and some really filling a lot of space in there. It's interesting to see how people find what kind of shop works best for where they are.
Yeah, absolutely. You gotta, we're in a town where people will be looking for every one of those niches, and there's a lot of athletic cyclists, there's a lot of utilitarian cyclists, and people that just want to get a basic bike going for basic needs. There's room for all of them, for sure.
Yeah. All right, and so I'm going to move on to the next base, unless you have anything else to say about local bike shops. And a reminder, folks, if you have any questions, thoughts, feel free to throw them in the comments. We do have Jessica and Richard leaving some comments there. Jessica says she loves Dotsons too. Dotsons always reminds me of my work at Peddlers Express, because they were one of our big clients back in the day, and I did a lot of runs to Dotsons and Photoshops around town. So
yeah,
fond
no doubt.
And speaking of Peddlers Express, they're still around and doing deliveries, and have been joined by Cascadian Courier Collective from about 5 years ago. And then, you know, a couple other sort of bike focused businesses from Eugene Pedicab, Pedal Power, U of O Bike Program. And I threw Hummingbird Wholesale in there because they are doing some amazing things with cargo trikes and trailers, doing delivery by bike. It's been pretty amazing to watch what they've done. And then I put up Peace Health Rides, and this is one of the reasons that we don't have more guests on our show, because I wasn't able to do a lot of outreach this week, because I've been dealing with some things with Peace Health Rides. And just so folks know that the city owns the bikes, and we contract services, and we contracted with Social Bicycles. We chose 2 years ago, and it's been a great relationship. And they were purchased by Jump, and then purchased by Uber. And just earlier this month, in May, Uber sold everything related to Jump to Lime, except our bike share and 2 other smaller bike shares that weren't in the same kind of system as those Jump bikes. And they sent us a letter recently that said they were going to be stopping service. And so we made the official announcement today that some bicycles is stopping their service, and that we may have a bit of a lag in service as we try to figure out our next step to keep the Social Bicycles business going. It's really a shame, because that's been
I was really shocked to hear that news. That's unfortunate.
Yeah, it is.
I think it's a great asset for the community.
Yeah. Yeah, it's been great, and we were excited for growth, and things were definitely on a good upswing until COVID. But you know, we knew we were going to be able to come out of it in some better form. And we were definitely, before COVID, it was just a rocking system. You know, we had done a feasibility study before, and we reached the number of bikes per trip per day after the first couple months that we expected to meet after a couple years. And so we were getting really great usage of the bikes, and it was a super utilitarian thing. And so we'll come out of it stronger. But yeah, it's definitely been quite a week.
Well, I'm glad the assets belong to the city. I didn't even realize that. But that's good that was a contract.
Maybe.
Yeah, I think we're lucky in that we do have all the bikes and the equipment, and we just need to find another operator. And I think that's fine. We were planning to do that anyway at some point, hopefully. But it's been okay. It's been great with Social Bicycles, and we were so different before that it didn't really affect us when Uber purchased it, because they didn't really mind what we were doing. We were sort of our own system. We're one of the few bike share systems that were actually breaking even or making money, which isn't part of their business model. They expect to lose money.
Yeah, interesting.
So
it doesn't make any sense. But,
Yep.
Yeah,
and as Debbie said,
it does.
But we definitely have seen Debbie here leaves a comment about Peace Health Rides and using it as part of her commute to the U of O, and we definitely have seen quite a decline in usage during COVID, but we did still see people using it. And it was interesting because we started to see more people using it for longer trips. And so we saw fewer trips, but they were longer. And so we think people were using them in a really different way, which is interesting.
That is interesting. I remember seeing somebody used one for the blackberry bramble. I think it was last year before.
Yeah,
I was impressed by.
Yeah,
Who did?
I know Al Hongo rode one year. But
Yeah,
I feel like maybe there was someone else who did it too.
Fondo.
Oh,
but
yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, that takes a little extra energy to ride one of those on a century ride.
Yeah, yeah,
Yes.
yeah, for sure. Yeah, yeah. Jessica says that was Al. So.
They're not really designed for that kind of use, but it's impressive. It's solid enough for it and safe, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But for getting around town on the bike path, you know, they're fantastic. They're great.
Yeah. What's been interesting, one of the things that we didn't expect that we saw was, you know, we put a station down by the river path. There's a couple kind of near the path, but we would see families load their kids' bikes into their cars and drive to the river path, and then get out, and they would rent a bike. The parents would get a bike, and then they would ride the kids. You know, the kids would ride their bikes, and so it was just like, so they wouldn't have to load like their bikes, or maybe they didn't even have bikes, but their kids did. And so,
well, yeah, you got a big family, it makes sense. You know, it's not that easy to load everything up.
Yeah,
unless you have a massive vehicle.
Right. Yeah, it's just interesting always to see how the creative ways that people used those bikes, and you know, I think that's the thing about bikes too, is the creativity that people get around it, and I think that's kind of shown too in the businesses, right? I mean, there's pedicabs, there's pedal power, there's, you know, delivering bulk food, just like the sort of innovation that goes into bikes. It's just so broad, from, you know, folding bikes to collapsible bikes and CNC couplings, and, you know, high-end racing, and just such the wide gamut of things is so amazing. It's the magic of the bike is, I think, pretty incredible.
Gonna have to agree with that.
Any bike businesses that you think I missed here? Anything, or maybe because we talked about it before, what are some of the things that some of the businesses that aren't with us anymore? I know one thing I didn't put on here because I weren't sure if they were still in business was there's the snow cone maker and a crepe maker that had a bike.
Oh, wow.
Bike-based food businesses.
And those are kind of like seasonal food booth kind of things, aren't they?
Yep.
They'll set up for you know, Sunday, what do you call it?
Sunday streets.
Sunday streets, yeah.
Yep.
Or other, you know, kind of festival event sort of things.
Yep. Yeah.
I did invite, and I, you know, it's kind of last minute, but I invited my friend Ruth Miller to join this discussion. She has a business called Damsel Tours. She leads bike tours. And Damsel Tours is a group that's, you know, primarily all women bike trips. And I think once a year she does you know, anybody, all comers. But she does tours for groups of women in all kinds of different places. I think they did a trip to Amsterdam last year.
Oh, nice.
She's in Colorado, so she's done a couple things in Colorado. Of course, you know, lots of trips in Oregon, San Juan Islands. But it's a nice resource, you know. I think for women especially, it's maybe not that comfortable to be in a group, you know, where there's men they don't know, you know, not knowing what to expect. So I think it's, you know, it's a great business, and Ruth is super knowledgeable. She also leads tours for adventure cycling. So Adventure Cycling Association, which used to be the Bike Centennial
Yep.
group.
Yeah.
How
long has she been doing that? Do you know?
I think Dan's old tours started 2 or 3 years ago.
Okay.
And
I'll have to make sure that one's on my list.
Yeah. She'd been doing trips with adventure cycling for many years before that as well.
We have a couple adventure cycling guides locally. I know Alan Hancock was an adventure cycling guide.
Yeah, there's quite a few around Oregon and around the Northwest. I mean, they've got people all over the country that lead tours, and some of them may do just one tour per year.
Right.
But some of them, like our recently deceased friend Wally Werner, did 20 plus tours a year. But it's for a lot of people, it's something they do after they retire, and teach more people about touring and kind of get yourself a paid working vacation. Once or twice a year at the same time.
Yeah. Two other tour operators that Jessica Frank mentioned is Michelle Emmons. So I think she's based up in Oak Ridge now, but she's doing the No Apologies mountain bike tours, I think. And then Dennis that leads mountain bike trips, mountain crossing mountain bike services. So are both those based in Oak Ridge?
Yeah, and there's what is Randy Dryling's service called up there?
Bike Oregon.
Yeah, shuttling. He does a shuttle service out of Oak Ridge.
Bike Oregon.
Yeah.
And
so there's
it was Cascadia snow cones that I was thinking of, and Jessica says that she was planning to bring it back for the summer, but now with COVID, not sure if that one's gonna come back. So yeah, the tours, I think that's something that I don't have on my list of local bike businesses. I've got to make sure and update that info. But again, a great mix of.
I see the logo. Good job. Yeah. Yeah, I think there's probably a bunch of others that I'm not thinking of at the moment.
Yeah.
Lynn, what do you think? Did we miss any?
Was that to me?
Yeah. Do you think we missed any? Yeah. Any other local bike businesses you can think of, either bike focused or? I was curious, like I was thinking about Threadbare, which does printing, and they actually had a Threadbare printing bike. But I was wondering, is there anyone who's doing bags, or I mean, I know Bike Friday does some bags for their bikes, and I think there was a company that was doing messenger bags years ago. But is there anyone?
Ocean likes the new bags, kind of. Brian Cannon makes some one-off bags.
That's right.
Very talented.
Yeah. Called Kaibab Customs. And
okay.
Yeah. He's got an Instagram site that he shows his stuff on. He's making a lot of neat stuff, very innovative. Anything from like under saddle, like for your spare tube, tire levers and whatever. He's got a little bag called a tool taco. But he also does frame bags and the kind of front roller type setup for bike packing.
Yeah, he did some custom bikes for Rob English when he was racing across America. Did some nice things for him.
Ah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right
Really,
next to a condo
really
sale.
nice.
He comes over here to get fabric every once in a while and bits.
Oh, yes, super clean. Is it? And so, where do you say he's based now?
Commotion.
Well, Brian is he's our lead sales guy at Commotion, so this is kind of just a side gig for him.
Uh-huh.
But, you know, he's a bike nerd, and this is one way he gets to
Fun.
make a few extra bucks and get creative.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah, fun stuff.
That's great. And then Jessica mentioned Bach bags. Had you heard of them? They're in Bend, but they used to be in Eugene.
I don't know that. Oh, is he talking about Bob Beckman? Maybe. Robert Beckman, Needleworks, used to be in Eugene, and he's in Bend area.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I don't see anything. Yeah.
But Revelate also has some production locally. You know, they're theoretically an Alaskan-based company, but they do some of their production in Springfield.
Oh, really?
And we've had them do some custom stuff for Commotion. They make a tandem frame bag for us.
Oh, yeah, I've heard that name. Revelate Design.
Revelate
is some bike packing.
kind of the inventor of bike packing bags. You know, they're the granddaddy of the non-rack mounted touring bags.
Right. Okay. Yep. Yeah, that's where I'd seen them. So Alaska based, but some manufacturing in Springfield. Interesting. Cool.
Mm-hmm.
Very cool.
Yeah, neat stuff. I think you know, that might be related to the your storyline earlier about what has spun off from other businesses.
Uh-huh.
There's a lot of kind of outdoor clothing and fabric related stuff that spun off from Burley.
Right. Yeah.
You know, they were, you know, sewing rain jackets and yurt coverings together for years, and that equipment ended up, you know, getting sold off. And I think this Revelate related company in Springfield has some of that equipment and maybe some of the talent left over from that.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I know that Cat did for a while. They got some of that equipment as well, and they were doing some of their manufacturing of some pieces. They were making the rain cape, which I just loved. Super simple design, great piece of urban biking equipment that I'm a huge advocate for. I've gone 2 winters now with wearing no rain pants on my commute. So I'm a huge advocate of the rain cape.
You can go like less than 12 miles an hour.
Yeah, yes, which, you know, on my commute to work is just fine. It's definitely a very utilitarian piece of biking equipment, and I'm fully okay with that. I'm over 40. I can be, you know, I can have a mirror on my helmet and wear a funny rain cape and be okay with that. But
I bought one of those in about 1978 when they were still based in Cottage Grove, and I learned, and this was when I lived before I moved to Eugene. I lived in Coos Bay, and I would commute from my home in Coos Bay to Moe's Bike Shop right at the base of the bridge in North Bend. They're still there. And when you go down Highway 101 on that stretch, when the chip trucks go by, they create their own wind. And when you have a rain cape on,
it's like a sail.
It'll take you away like a sail, like a paraglider.
Yeah, definitely not the best piece of equipment for that. Yeah.
Not ideal.
Yeah, that's funny. All right, let's see. So I'm going to bring this one up one more time here because I do have one other slide, and we've been doing these Tuesday and Friday events throughout May. We're having to move our Tuesday one that was going to be in Spanish next week, so we won't have one on Tuesday, but we are going to have the Friday one that I mentioned to sort of wrap us up on bike history. And everyone who leaves comments over this time, whether they ask a question or just say hi, will be entered into some raffles that we have for gift cards and different items. And one of our local manufacturers, local companies manufactured at other locations, is Burley, has donated a trailer for one of our raffle prizes. So that's pretty exciting. And to remind folks that May is still Bike Month, even though we're not doing all of our community rides and other big things that we usually do. We're definitely still encouraging people to get out and ride on their own and do socially distanced rides and to get out there with their families. That's been an amazing thing that we've seen, is the amount of families that we're getting out and riding. And so we want to encourage that as much as we can. And this is one of the ways we're planning to do this. We have both the Burley Encore and the Travoy, their sort of utilitarian trailer that we're going to raffle off. So that's pretty exciting. They also sent me a picture, which I was hoping to get on here, but I didn't get it on there, was they had restored one of their 70s trailers to like mint condition. And it's pretty cool. They've got it in their shop now. It's like one of the original ones in pristine condition. It's pretty cool. So I'm hoping for I'll bring that up for the Flashback Friday. But if either of you have good sort of historical photos of biking in Eugene, of some of those older manufacturers or businesses, send them my way, because I am putting together a couple pictures for that show. I'd love to see them.
That's next week.
Excuse me. Go ahead, Ron.
Oh, when is that show, Shane?
Next Friday.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll try to dig some stuff up.
Great.
Sorry.
Go ahead, Lynn. Hutchins has some good stuff.
Hutchins has a photo of Ernie Dropella. He used to be head of the Park and Recreation with Bob Packwood, and there's a picture that he gave us of him and Packwood going out on a bike ride, and there wasn't all the paths at that time, and Ernie had turned one way and Bob was going the other way, and he knocked Bob Packwood off into the grass and got them all grass stained. Oh. These guys are riding in like short sleeve dress shirts with ties, slacks, and hard shoes. And Ernie goes, "Oh, I thought I friggin' blew it," but he ended up getting the funding that helped get the bike paths established.
Right.
And they have that day. It's really a cool photo.
Oh, that would be great. That'd be great to see. Yeah, because that's definitely a part we're going to talk about is the bike bill, and I think Packwood was part of that. That initial bike bill that then eventually led into some of those first bridges and the path system.
Yeah.
Gary Platt chimes in and wants to say hi, Len. So. Well, this has been really great. We've got a few more minutes if people want to chime in and ask questions or comments. And I just wanted to sort of put it out to either of you. Are there any things that you wanted to talk about around sort of the local bike business and pieces around Eugene's bike business?
I would just say, we've got a really solid community of local businesses, and it's a community that supports each other. Sure, there's a little competition between shops and bike manufacturers, but by and large, we all get along really well. We send business to each other. If if I need something, I know I can go to Len, or go see Sue or Luke to know, or there's any number of people that might have the items that I need. We all work together. We all help each other. And I think we can all be proud of how well we work together in the community.
Yeah, I saw a great post, and I'm trying to remember who it was from, just yesterday, about someone who was saying, that they had a customer come in and they couldn't provide what they wanted, and they recommended them to another shop, and and just talking about how grateful he was that he could do that, and that he knew that other shops were doing that for him, and that it's a pretty competitive business overall, and it's not a huge money-making business, and so it's really inspiring when that does actually, that is part of sort of the culture of, like, yeah, if we can't help you, pass you on to someone who can.
Yeah, I'd say one thing. My first employer was National Cycle, but I went to work for Hutchison in '81, and Bill Hutchinson's father started that thing in 1927. He employed people in Eugene, Oregon with a bike business from 1927 till today. So they went through the Depression. They went through a couple of good wars. They went through a bike boom, and they're still going today. I mean, and it was Bill Hutchinson's father, Earl, and then Billy Hutchinson took it to the next level. But
that has to be one of the longest running
for everything that's happened in this community.
Yeah, that has to be one of the longest running bike businesses in the country.
Well, there's other ones equally long, but
yeah,
before he moved to Eugene, he had a bike shop in Newport. So in the 1925 or 26, he had a store in Newport, and he goes, maybe I can't make a living in Newport, which would be hard to do today.
Right.
But it's a phenomenal business. I mean, to come from 27 and still going today, it's a pretty cool thing.
Yeah, that's super cool.
That is amazing.
Yeah. I found that post. It was something from Luke, that, from Land Speed's Fix.
Yeah. I saw that yesterday. Yeah.
Yeah, and he was just making the call out to Bicycle Way of Life and Hutch's, and talking about Lynn and Simply Cycle and Ride My Bike, and just like how great it is to be a part of a community that can do that. So I thought that was really great to see and inspiring. So yeah, I know it's been amazing for me. I just feel really lucky to be in a community that has this diversity of bike shops and bike businesses, and the people behind them. And I feel like that in some ways we get sort of in our silos and busy just trying to make things in our own worlds function, and it's always nice when we can connect on a different level and connect with one another through events or something like this. And so I definitely appreciate the two of you taking the time to come in and have a conversation.
Yeah, thanks for inviting us. That was nice.
Yeah, appreciate it, Shane.
Yeah.
My phone's about to run out of juice here, so I'm
perfect timing. Well,
trying to plug in somewhere. Are we wrapping things up?
I think we can wrap up unless we get another comment or question. We'll go ahead and get ready to wrap it up. I think I covered the things that I wanted to go through, just talking about our current bike businesses, and it's been great to talk about some of the historical pieces and those interrelations that have happened, and just to encourage people too to get out and support local, and especially to support your local bike-based business, whether that's getting Cascadian Courier to deliver your food, or to order a bike from a local bike builder or a bike shop. Support local in this time of amazing changes. That when we come out of this, I hope that we keep focused on that important part. So
I think that's I think a lot of people are kind of coming to realize how important that is. You know, that's one of maybe the silver linings to the, you know, the whole health scare that we're experiencing now.
Yeah.
So, you know, that's if that is true, that's pretty remarkable. And
yeah, I think that, you know, like Lynn said, it's been, you know, bike businesses in Eugene have weathered some amazing things since they've been here since, you know, the 1900s. There have been people on bikes in Eugene and businesses that have been catering to them, and sometimes they make it and sometimes they don't, but they're sort of, that culture is still there, and it's still, even if a business closes, those, you know, the people from those businesses often carry on in the community and do something else. So yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, and there's, you know, some people have simply retired out of the system, but will still show up on bike rides. And you know, it's cool to see some of the retired folks that we've talked about are still cycling strong, and you know, let's hear it for what cycling does for your health.
Amen to that.
We're lucky to be involved in something that you can do for your whole life, and keeps you healthy.
Yeah. Well, I know that I haven't had a chance to go on a ride with the two of you, but I'd love to do that sometime. So
we've been on a ride chain many times.
Well, yeah, I guess we have. Yes.
Ride of Silence.
Yeah, the Ride of Silence.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, which happened this year.
Shane, happened on the ride, but
right. I do end up riding with a lot of people. But
I'm sure you do.
But I'd love to just go on a solo ride with you guys sometime. It's always a great way to connect with people.
Yeah.
Sounds good. Let's do it.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks again, gentlemen, for joining me.
Absolutely. Thank you, Shane. And I'll try to connect with you on your next show next Friday. That sounds like a good one.
That'd be great. Okay.
All right.
Wonderful. Well, have a great weekend. Thanks.
Good night, everyone.
All right. Thank you very much.
All right. Thanks.
Bye.
Bye-bye.